Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back after a long time. Uh, I'm resuming the presentations. This is a presentation for medical students by Dr. Mumtaz Ahmed Umar. And today's topic is different methods to examine the larynx. Many times the questions regarding how to examine the larynx arises in MCQs also and in the Viva. So I am giving you a brief introduction to these few methods with which we can help to examine the larynx. These are different from the radiology. So the first method and the most commonly used is the indirect laryngoscopy. It is carried out routinely during an ENT examination everywhere, wherever full ENT examination is being carried out, and all the students, medical students, should know how to perform indirect laryngoscopy. So this is an indirect laryngoscopy mirror. It is a straight mirror. The other method is the rigid laryngoscopy. So we use telescopes or sinoscopes of 70° or 90°. So this one is a true laryngoscope, a 90°, and a sinoscope with 70° or 90° can also be used for the same purpose. But these require light source with it, so the light can go back into the throat and we can visualize. The third method is the flexible nasopharyngeal laryngoscopy. So this is a flexible nasopharyngeal laryngoscope. Again, a light source is attached and we can directly visualize via the lens at the distal end, which is passed up till the larynx and in some cases beyond the vocal cords into the trachea. Then the fourth is the laryngoscopy. So this is a laryngoscope. This is most commonly used in two places. One in anesthesia to intubate, and also in the emergency department again for intubation. But we in ENT also sometimes we can utilize this instrument to remove any foreign body or visualize the structure or take any biopsy locally. But for the last point which I said for biopsy, the other method, which is the direct laryngoscopy, it is used basically. But the difference in direct laryngoscopy and all other method is direct laryngoscopy is only done under general anesthesia to remove any foreign body, to take a biopsy or remove any polyp or nodules or any mass from the vocal cord region. Again, it requires a light source. And lastly, but not the least, is the stroboscopy. It is a special, in this, a special strobe light source is used. Again, with a rigid laryngoscope or a flexible laryngoscope to examine not only the vocal cords but their movement in slow motion. So we'll come in little details of each and every part of these different methods in our succeeding slides. So the structures which are examined as the base of the tongue, then the lower part of the palatine tonsils, the lingual tonsils, right and left valleculae, epiglottis, ariepiglottic folds, arytenoids, both false cords and both true vocal cords, then anterior and the posterior commissure. Then on the sides, which is the piriform sinuses, and on the back is the postcricoid region. In some cases, we can examine the subglottic area. We also observe and see the mobility of the vocal cords by asking the patients to pronounce E or cough to see the movement of the vocal cords. So the first one is the indirect laryngoscopy. It uses a small straight mirror known as the indirect laryngoscopy mirror, which is held at the back of the throat. The mirror is heated to prevent the fog from occurring on it in the mouth when we are taking it in the mouth. We need to use a gauze piece to pull out the tongue, and the mirror which is heated is inserted in the mouth, taken to the back of the throat and lift the uvula. Remember that we don't have to touch on the sides or on the posterior wall, which will induce gag reflex, but on touching the uvula, gag will not happen. The light, either the headlight or the head mirror setup, is directed on the mirror to visualize the laryngopharyngeal structures indirectly. As I already mentioned, that it is a simple and the most common method to assess the larynx and the surrounding structures in OPD setting. So these are the different sizes of the indirect laryngoscopy mirror. The instrument is indirect laryngoscopy mirror, while the procedure is indirect laryngoscopy. So if the instrument is placed before you for the viva or in the exam, then you have to write the indirect laryngoscopy mirror. Writing indirect laryngoscope or indirect laryngoscopy, it will not give you full marks. So the proper name is the indirect laryngoscopy mirror. There are different types of other mirrors which are the dental mirrors, but the angle for indirect laryngoscopy is more acute than for the dental mirrors. And here the size is mentioned. This is size 6, 7, 8, 9. So it will increase and also less. So these are of different sizes depending upon the mouth and the structures in area in the oropharynx. You can use different sizes of the indirect laryngoscopy mirror. So these are the things which is required for indirect laryngoscopy. Headlight is missing, but only for the instrument. This is the instrument, the gauze piece to pull out the tongue, and this is the light source to heat the mirror side. We heat the mirror side and check the back side on back of our first on our hand, and then we show it to the patient to reassure the patient that it is not too much warm. So the tongue is pulled out with the help of the middle finger and the thumb, while the index finger is used to retract the upper lip. The mirror is introduced facing downwards till the back and the uvula is lifted, and we can visualize the structures. So tongue is pulled down, outward and downward, while the mirror is backward and upward. Not the direction, but the direction of mirror is downward, but the introduction of instrument is such a way that it is pushing up the uvula. And when the structures are visualized, we ask the patient to say E. The vocal cords mobility can be assessed then. So this is the rough diagram of what structures can be visualized on indirect laryngoscopy. So here this is the post-cricoid region or cricopharyngeal area, and below this will be the esophagus. The second procedure which is used is the rigid laryngoscopy. So as I already mentioned, this procedure uses a rigid endoscope with light source with or without local anesthesia. So depending upon patient's cooperation, most of the time it is done without local anesthesia, but if patient is apprehensive, you can perform gargles to the patient with 4% xylocaine solution, or we can spray the throat with 4% xylocaine solution. As the most commonly used is the 10%, but that 10% spray is not available, so we use 4% gargle xylocaine solution gargles. The area will be anesthetized, and then we can pass the rigid endoscope of 70 degree or 90 degree again through the mouth toward the back of the throat, taking care of not to touch the posterior pharyngeal wall. Again, the tongue is pulled out with the gauze piece as in the indirect laryngoscopy, and patient is asked to pronounce E to check the vocal cord mobility. So the 70 degree, it is a straight endoscope, but the angle of the lens is on 70 degree and 90 degree. So through eyepiece we can visualize, and also we can attach a camera and can see the images on the TV as well. So you can use either a handheld light source or a big light source, cold light source, which I'll show in the next few pictures. So this is a magnified view and more clear view on, with these instruments than indirect laryngoscopy. So here the vocal cords are in abducted position, and this show complete adduction of the vocal cords. Third procedure is the flexible nasopharyngeal and this is the nasopharyngeal. So it uses a flexible endoscope with a light source. Typically we insert it through the nose, pharynx and larynx. A numbing medication and a decongestant nasal spray are sprayed, which goes through the nose into the throat, and then the flexible laryngoscope is inserted gently into a nostril. The doctor may ask the patient to speak or perform other actions, like I said, to pronounce E, or even in certain cases when the vocal cords are not mobile, we can ask the patient to cough. And there is two conditions in which on coughing the vocal cords will move. So both of these actions can be used to evaluate the vocal cord function. Then doctor views the images on the monitor or directly through the endoscope eyepiece I have shown. So this is the big light source or the cold light source. As I have told you, this is a built-in machine, and but with this we need a fiber optic cable. This is inserted into the light source and this is attached with the endoscope. So this flexible laryngoscopy inserted through the nose, and it gives extra benefit or added benefit of visualizing the nose and nasopharynx instead of just the laryngopharynx, and then it is passes backward and we can clearly visualize the laryngopharyngeal structures. This flexible laryngoscope, it can also be used to intubate the patient, especially in those patients in which the mouth opening is very limited or there is dental procedures which has to be carried out for maxillary fracture or any other fracture. So in those cases, intubation is either done with the help of a flexible laryngoscopy or via tracheostomy to give general anesthesia. So the advantages of the nasopharyngeal laryngoscopy is that it is a relatively safe and well tolerated procedure. It provides a clear and the magnified visualization of the interior of the larynx. It can be done in a doctor's office, and it can be used to monitor the effects of treatment for various throat and voice disorders. Then another advantage of flexible nasopharyngeal laryngoscopy is that it can be used for the bedridden patients as well. For examination, those are bedridden in the wards, so the whole setup equipment it can be carried on a trolley to the ward. As for flexible laryngoscopy, it can be done either in sitting position or in lying position, both in OPD and in the ward. But for indirect laryngoscopy and rigid laryngoscopy, the patient has to be in sitting position to perform that procedure. That procedure cannot be done in lying position. So this is a major advantage of flexible laryngoscopy. Then another important point in the flexible laryngoscope is that it can be carried out in very small children as well, as there is chance of damaging with a rigid laryngoscope, but as it is a small rubber pipe, it will not cause damage while inserting inside the nose or throat. And it can also be done, mainly it is done via the nose, but it can also be done through the mouth But in this, while doing through the mouth, the tongue has to be. The next procedure is laryngoscopy, and the instrument which is used for this is known as a laryngoscope. So, the laryngoscope is the instrument which has a detachable handle containing the battery, and this battery, it will help provide the light and the tongue blades of different sizes. It is mainly used for endotracheal intubation in emergency and in the operation theatre to provide the general anesthesia. So mainly two types of tongue depressors are used. One is the curved one, which is the Macintosh, and the other is the straight one, which is the Miller. As already mentioned, it has two parts. So the technique is laryngoscope is inserted through the right side of the mouth, and the blade is then sweep the tongue to the left. Then the blade is smoothly advanced to the epiglottis. If the Macintosh blade is used, the curved one, it is advanced into the valleculae and then it is lifted upward. While if a Miller blade is used, which is a straight one, it is advanced over the epiglottis to the entrance of the trachea, proximal to the vocal cords. So the laryngoscope, it has, as already mentioned, two parts: the detachable handle with the battery inside and the two types of the spatula. The curved one is the Macintosh, this is the tip, and the straight one is the Miller. So these both blades, they are inserted, and this bulb, it will light up and give the light to examine the laryngeal structures. The laryngoscope, it is introduced from the right side and the tongue is pushed towards the left, then it will move forward. And in case of Macintosh, the tip is placed in the valleculae and then it is lifted upwards and larynx will be visible. While in cases of Miller's blade, it bypass the vallecula over the epiglottis and then it is lifted upwards to reveal the laryngeal structures. Like in this picture, the vocal cords, once they are visible, then endotracheal intubation can be done, or if it is using for removal of any foreign body, as I have the experience of removing a fish bone which is placed horizontally on the vocal cords in a 40-year-old female. So I have used the laryngoscope and remove that fish bone. So it can be used, but in such cases the patient cooperation is very much needed. But most common purpose of using these instruments is for intubation. The other procedure is the direct laryngoscopy, and the instrument used is a direct laryngoscope. Direct laryngoscope is a rigid instrument used to visualize the larynx under direct vision. Although the laryngoscope, which we have just discussed, is also a rigid instrument, and it is we can visualize the laryngeal structures directly, but the difference is direct laryngoscopy can only be done under general anesthesia, and the direct laryngoscope can become self-retaining and fixed in place with a stand, freeing the surgeon hands for microsurgery. It provides excellent exposure of the larynx, especially when used with an operating microscope and microsurgical instruments, and even in some cases with laser as well. It is carried out under general anesthesia and different from laryngoscope, as already mentioned, which is used for intubation. Here I want to make a point, especially the medical students, they make this mistake of confusing direct laryngoscopy with laryngoscopy. Both are different instruments. One is for basically for anesthesia and the other is an ENT instrument. In laryngoscopy, it cannot become a self-retaining one and it has to be held in one hand all the time. Whereas for direct laryngoscope, it can become a self-retaining instrument, making both hands free to carry out the surgical procedure. It needed a halogen or LED or xenon, which is the best light source. Without that, the procedure is not possible, as in a laryngoscope where a battery is available. Direct laryngoscopy has both diagnostic and therapeutic uses, and as already mentioned, operative microscope and lasers. The teeth and gums, they are protected during the procedure with the use of mold or gauze piece, and then the laryngoscope, the direct laryngoscope, is introduced into the mouth and throat towards back side, bypassing both the valleculae and epiglottis. The laryngoscope has a rigid hollow barrel that allows one to visualize the pharynx and the larynx, and the fiber optic light source with cable is used for illumination. The laryngoscope can be attached to other instruments. This is the direct laryngoscope. It is attached to other instruments which suspend the laryngoscope and allow the surgeon to use both hands by making it a self-retaining. I'll show you in the next picture. By making it as a self-retaining suspension. The operative microscope and lasers are also used where and when indicated. So these are the molds which are used to protect the teeth, and this is the laryngeal, this is the hollow barrel through which we visualize, and the light source is attached. Here is the light cable, which is a fiber optic light, and it is attached with that fiber optic cable. This hollow instrument, it is introduced and then lifted upward. So while lifting it upward, it can cause direct pressure over the upper teeth and can cause damage if one is not careful enough. So that's why we use these molds or gauze piece while performing this procedure. So this is the fiber optic light source, fiber optic cable, and this is that which is missing in the last picture. This is the built-in fiber optic light in the endoscope, this direct laryngoscope, and this light source it is attached here. So this is the laryngoscope holder, making it as a self-retaining suspension. Now the both of the surgeon hands, they are free to use the microsurgical instruments, like for example, if we are removing a polyp, laryngeal polyp, then we can take a forceps in one hand and a scissor in the other hand. And same when you are taking biopsy, you need to do suctioning as well at the same time. So both of our hands for any procedure while doing on the larynx, we need both of our hands free. So in this picture you can see the laryngoscope. This is the direct laryngoscope, and it is attached with this suspension, making it as a self-retaining one. And in this picture, as in the last slide I have showed, this fiber optic cable is attached to the fiber optic light within the laryngoscope, and it will help us to visualize due to better illumination. The best light source which are used are of the xenon and LED. Nowadays LED light source, they are superior to the previously used halogen ones. The direct laryngoscopy, it helps and superior visualization and provides magnified view of the larynx and other structures, and it is better than the other methods, as with indirect laryngoscopy few parts they are missed, but with direct laryngoscopy each and every area of the laryngopharynx can be examined, especially when used with a telescope or with the microscope. Then the other benefit is that it can become self-retaining and allow hands-free operation, meaning that both hands of the surgeon will be free for precise microsurgery. It provides high precision, allowing the use of microsurgical instruments and the laser, especially the carbon dioxide laser, which is used for the laryngeal procedures to delicately remove the polyp or any part of the vocal cord stripping. And again, it helps us, as already mentioned previously, for biopsy and removal of any other foreign body or mass. And it provides a stable and controlled environment as done under general anesthesia, so we have plenty of time. And it is better for teaching and documentation compared to indirect laryngoscopy, flexible nasopharyngeal laryngoscopy, or rigid one. So the precision and safety is superior. So like through this hollow tube we can visualize the larynx and can perform any surgery or any other thing we want to see or do. The last but not the least is the stroboscopy. Stroboscopy is a specialized procedure which is used to visualize the vocal cord vibrations in slow motion using a specialized strobe light. So the light source is a strobe light source, which is different from the one I have already mentioned, and it is synchronized with the voice frequency. A flashing light, which is a strobe light, it is used as a frequency slightly different to the vocal cord vibration, creating a slow motion effect. And then thus it is used to assess the function, which is the vibratory motion of the vocal cords. So the whole system, it includes stroboscopic light source, the same rigid or the flexible laryngoscope, and the camera and video display system. In reality, the movement of vocal cords, which is typically 100 to 300 times per second, they are too fast to be seen with the naked eye or a regular light source. So this stroboscopy or strobe light, it produces simulated slow motion effect of vocal folds vibration and creates a series of images at different phases of vibration cycle. So these images, when they are stitched together in real time, they give the illusion that the vocal folds are moving in slow motion. This allows detailed visualization of the vocal fold movement, the mucosal wave, and the glottic closure pattern, which is essential for diagnosing the voice disorders. You can, if anybody wants the details of this procedure, they can search the internet, YouTube, and it will be available. But the problem is, as far I know, I don't think this procedure is available in Pakistan. So this picture is showing whole of the stroboscopy system, procedure system, the things they needed, a rigid laryngoscope, strobe light source, camera system, and the monitor, and all the system to capture the images and make the slow motion images to assess the problems related to the phonation or the vocal cords. So this is all about different methods of examining the laryngeal part, laryngopharynx. So thank you for your patience and listening, and I wish you good luck. Thank you.